What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Well, welcome if it's your first time here. You know, I get a lot of comments that I read. I get a lot of emails that I read. And I usually get 4 different types of emails. The most common type is the email from someone who is fully prepared, been prepping for a long time, and is pretty much as prepared as they possibly can be. The second type is people who think that prepping is completely nonsense and silly because nothing is going to happen. If anything does get that bad, the rapture is going to happen first, and the good people will be taken out of here and won't have to do any suffering whatsoever, or that someone's going to get elected and going to fix everything. The third type of email that I get and comments that I read quite often is people who have firearms, ammunition, body armor, and their whole prepping plan is to take from others because they don't want to spend their resources on food and things like that. That'd just be silly. Why not just steal from other preppers? And that's their mindset. They would rather steal and kill people than to actually take some of that money they spend on high-tech weapons and prepare. It's silly to me. It doesn't make any sense. The mindset of people who think that way, but they would rather rob people, kill people, and take what other people has and spend their money on weapons and gear instead of buying food and things like that to prepare with. And then I have the fourth type of email and comment that I commonly read, and that is from people who say they can afford to prepare. And granted, it is definitely more difficult now to prepare than it was just a few years ago or even a few months ago because of inflation. Massive money printing, and we're seeing inflation on pretty much everything, especially groceries, food. And people are having a more difficult time making ends meet, and prepping would definitely stretch what little budget that they do have. And some people, no doubt, can't prep. You know, if you are homeless, you can't prep because you have probably no resources at all, or you wouldn't be homeless. You have no place to stockpile things. So I know some people simply can't prep in a situation that they are in. However, a lot of people who are making that comment or sending an email telling me they can't prep actually can do something. But they think that if they can't go all out and have the huge farm, have stockpiles of freeze-dried food, have a room full of high-tech firearms and things like that, that they aren't prepped, and they might as well just forget about prepping completely and not even try because they can afford all the things they're shown on some of these prepping channels. But you can do a lot with just a few $100s. You can get better prepared than most people around you, most of your neighbors, most of your family. If you can spend just a few $100s on Pacifics, 3 Pacifics actually, and stockpile these, then you can be better prepared than most people around you are. And it's not going to cost, you know, a whole lot. Now, you're not going to be able to spend a few $100s and be fully, totally prepared like, you know, some hardcore preppers been prepping for years. However, you can spend $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 and be better prepared than most everyone in your neighborhood, more than likely, most all of your friends and family, and for certain, you'll be more prepared than you are right now. And it definitely beats doing nothing besides making excuses. And if you don't have even a few $100s to spend, you know, maybe you can save that up over the next few weeks. Maybe you can sell something to get a hold of a few extra dollars to actually spend on preps. And I've spent the last 5 or 6 days trying to figure out how to make this whole prepping concept as simplistic as possible and to make it as cheap as possible while still yet allowing people to be better prepared and to be actually pretty well prepared if you do this thing correctly and do it over time and actually build on this, especially with skills. So I actually narrowed this down to include 3 key products, 3 key things. And the first one is rice. Rice is a staple food in many countries and can be used in, you know, a lot of different dishes, prepared in a lot of different ways. And you can make this into full meals, especially if you do things like foraging. If you can learn how to forage hunt, for squirrel, rabbit, pheasant, whatever, small game, large game. You can have meat to add with this. If you can forage for edible plants, you can add that also. If you can grow a small garden, you can make this 20-pound bag of rice go a long way. And guys, next is pinto beans. Pinto beans are readily available. These things can make a full meal in of themselves. They're filling, got a lot of fiber. And just like the rice, if you can mix the rice and beans together, that can be a whole meal in and of itself. However, like I said, if you can take and forage, if you can fish, if you can hunt for small game, if you can trap, if you can take large game, if you can forage for edible plants, raise a small garden, beans and rice can go a long way. And a 20-pound bag of beans, 20-pound bag of rice isn't that expensive, and it's going to break the bank. You can buy a 20-pound bag of each when you go to the store, and you're doing pretty good. When you go back next time, do the same thing. Another 20-pound bag of rice, 20-pound bag of pinto beans. Learn skills, learn how to forage, learn how to hunt, learn how to fish, learn how to trap. Learn about edible plants in your area. Plant a small garden to make this go much further. My grandpa and grandma on my dad's side, every single meal, every single supper and lunch anyway, not breakfast, but lunch and supper, or dinner, for as long as I can remember growing up, I always had pinto beans. Pinto beans made in the pressure cooker usually. My grandma makes that in the pressure cooker. Pinto beans, fried potatoes, biscuits. That was pretty much every single day, most every meal, and they survived. They were poor, but they survived. They raised a big garden. You can raise a small garden and go a long ways. It definitely beats no garden. Don't think that because you don't have, an acre garden spot, that you can't raise a garden. You can, if you have, 30 foot by 50 foot or even smaller, you can take that and raise a garden. You can get practice, learn skills. You can learn to fish. You can learn to hunt. You can learn to forage. And you can make these pinto beans and rice go a long way, especially if you learn how to trap rabbits, squirrels, small game, deer, large game, whatever is in your location. If you can take that and use that as a food source also, it's free for the taking. Just follow all the laws and things that you need to follow so you don't get in trouble when you are hunting and things like that. But if it's a survival situation, most people are going to worry about following game laws. But it can definitely increase your bulk food if you can forage also, plus have pinto beans and rice stored back. The third thing is a single shot, break open shotgun. 12 gauge, 20 gauge are the best two, but you can go down to a 410. But I suggest if you can, go with the 20 or the 12. These aren't expensive. These are simple to operate. You won't need to take training and things to operate these. And they're good for foraging. They're good for protecting your garden. And for self-defense, they can do okay. It's not going to be like an AR-15, but do you really need that in most cases? If you have someone breaking into your house and you have this shotgun loaded with number 4 buckshot, say, they're breaking into your home, you just wait till they come to the door and boom, problem solved pretty quickly. If there's more than one, that first boom, that guy's gonna go out the door and the rest, everybody else will more than likely take off. If they don't, you can pop this down real quick. And the spent shot shell will eject itself, put another one in, ready for another shot. It can be pretty quick, actually, especially if you have a couple of shotgun shells, between, see, these are shotgun shells. They're not, but I said they are. Between your fingers, on a belt, something like that, you can have them ready to go, and boom, kick out, another one in, ready to go again. Quick, easy. You can find these. They're reliable. They never fail. Very few parts to break. You can find these at flea markets a lot of times, yard sales, pawn shops. You can buy these new. This one's a New England firearm. This is actually one my dad had, and pretty much will cover just about everything actually, besides long range. Even if slugs, it has a bead front sight. It's not going to be super duper accurate with slugs, but if you put a slug in this, And practice, you know, rifle slugs in practice, it's going to have a lot of recoil because it's really lightweight. But you can stretch it out to, you know, 50, 75 to 100 yards on larger size targets to get a little more range with this. Number 6 shot, number 4 shot, number 4 buckshot, double aught buckshot, stockpile different ammunition for different purposes. And this will go a long ways for pretty much everything you need when the balloon goes up. Again, it's not perfect. It's not like having, you know, handguns, AR-15s, pump action shotguns and everything. But it is cheap, very, very cheap. And reliable, effective. So you don't think you have to have, you know, like most advanced high-tech firearms, freeze-dried food and things like that. You can go with rice, white and brown rice, mix it up. It's best to have both kinds. Pinto beans. Get a good recipe book, learn how to cook those. Good crock pot, good pressure cooker. Single shot break open shotgun. Learn how to forage, raise a small garden. Learn how to go out and rabbit hunt and squirrel hunt with this thing. Learn how to skin that squirrel. Learn how to prepare that. Put back some salt and pepper and things like that for some spices. But your main food source can be pinto beans and rice. Very simple. Very simplistic. If you do this, it won't cost a whole lot. And you'll be better prepared than most people are, unfortunately. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore Matter, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.